2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Thirty seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Broadcasting from the heart of the nation, the next generation in conservative talk radio. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yes, it is. What is up, my friends? Welcome into it. It is your Friday, finally making it to the end of the week. It's great to have you along for the ride as you set that tone for the weekend. What's in store for you? There's plenty to talk about, to recover and recap what the heck happened throughout this week. And a sad day for Hollywood, a sad day for culture, a sad day for society in general, with Chuck Norris passing away, 86 years old. Now, I had heard that he had been rushed to the hospital, some emergency issues. What was it, yesterday, 2 days ago? And then the announcement that he had passed away today. So very sad. Now, I will be the first one to admit, Chuck Norris was a little bit before my time. Being the millennial that I am, I didn't quite get to enjoy the full scope of the Chuck Norris isms in the 70s and 80s when he was doing a lot of those movies. The ones with Bruce Lee and some of the stuff he did in the 80s. And, of course, Texas Ranger, or whatever else he did. I caught a little bit of that towards the end. I was more of the Stallone, Schwarzenegger, Jason Statham, that kind of genre of the rock or of the action movies. So Chuck Norris was a little bit before my time. But, of course, the cultural icon that he was didn't go past our generation for sure, with all the Chuck Norris jokes out there, which I did look up some of them. They were really good that I didn't even know about, which were pretty good. In the beginning, there was nothing, and Chuck Norris roundhouse kicked nothing and told it to get a job. Well done. I like that. So, I told you a couple days ago that, the whole midlife crisis thing about ready to set in. Some of the icons that I looked up to growing up are starting to pass. Well, it's happening, and Chuck Norris is one of those, so thoughts and prayers to his family. Very sad that he officially passed away. But you know what? In the ongoing Chuck Norris jokes and the Chuck Norris isms out there, Chuck Norris did not pass away. He gave up because he completed this life exactly the way he needed to and is ready for the next challenge in life. So, thoughts and prayers to him, my friends, and what an icon that he was, for sure. Welcome to the show. It's a Friday. Great to have you along for the ride, broadcasting out of the heart of the nation in Wichita, Kansas, on our flagship radio station. But we are all over the country with so many great affiliates doing our thing. Do it live! Like we do every single day here on the program. We got Martin Moyer on the program today. He's with the Christian Action Network. We're going to talk about artificial intelligence and how it relates to the young generation. As you know, there are now concerns, and in fact, where I'm at here in Kansas, our state legislature tried to discuss a bill this year about banning therapy and psychological, I guess, training from AI. I don't know. Apparently, people are using it as some type of therapist, which is kind of strange because you're talking to a data input and it calculates your question and puts out a response. So the emotional connection is starting to grow. The therapeutic response is starting to grow. And I find that a little strange in society. We've seen an increase in the assisted taking of their own life with young generation. In fact, we've heard some of even giving up their own life for because of like seasonal depression and stuff, which is kind of crazy. So we're going to talk about how we can adapt this into society and what it does for our young generation, which I think is extremely important. So we'll get to that at the bottom of the hour with Martin Moyer, and looking forward to that one. That being said, there was plenty to talk about. This week has been a crazy week, and I don't want to waste any time.
What's trending today?
And I want to start with the crazy comment of the week, which Jasmine Crockett, thank God she's about out. Can we give her final farewell yet? I know that she's not out yet, but she's almost there, and it would make me feel better for a Friday. So Jasmine Crockett, Congresswoman from the state of Texas, that did not get the nomination for the Senate in the Democrat primaries just this past month. Jasmine Crockett, we have to give you the proper farewell out of the system. As she wrapped up this week making some absurd comments, now saying that Donald Trump is favorable to drug traffickers.
International drug traffickers love Donald Trump because they know that even if they are arrested, it's easy enough to get a pardon from him. The data shows that Donald Trump is one of the most pro-drug trafficking presidents in modern day history. Since he took office, prosecutions for drug trafficking have fallen to the lowest levels in decades because the agents tasked with going after drug cartels have either been fired or forced to start raiding your local Home Depot.
What are we talking about?
Or illegally breaking into the homes of American citizens. Or monitoring community schools and churches so that the government can disappear entire families. It was never about protecting Americans. It was never about bringing democracy to Venezuela. It was never about stopping illicit drugs from entering the country. Like everything else this administration does, it was about corruption.
I don't understand a single word she's saying there. Sometimes I wonder how much your brain has to hurt to try and follow the logic of the other side of the aisle.
Don't set your bike fluid and get your brake working so you can stop something.
I don't understand the lunacy that comes from the words. Again, we have to say thank you, God, for the farewell that we're going to see from Jasmine Crockett, because this kind of rhetoric makes no sense to me. What is she talking about? She going after Donald Trump being favorable to drug cartels as the administration that tipped off the Mexican government to get rid of one of the heads of the cartels. We're ending literal cartels and organized crime in not just our own nation with the deportations, but the hemisphere. And if you're not aware of it, Andy, what are you talking about in the nation? Some of the deportations that we've had have been major MS-13 gang members, major cartel people. In fact, here in the middle of the country, Nebraska and Kansas and Oklahoma and Texas and Missouri, there have been case after case where many of these high-ranking cartel members have been hiding out. Like in these small little towns of Nebraska. There was one a few months ago that was in an agricultural community, just a small little town. And they were shutting down. They were talking about like a Tyson food plant that was shutting down and the workers that were struggling. And at the same time, there was this major bust of arresting some type of major cartel leader. That's where they're hiding out. We're deporting them left and right. The media's not going to cover that, but of course we are because, we want the real information to get out there. So we're fighting. I don't know what she's talking about. And going after the average family. We have seen more pardons from the Trump administration on low-level drug charges for people just possessing marijuana, not distributing, but possessing marijuana. We've seen more of those pardons than anybody else helping. And I would think, as a Democrat, as a progressive, of someone of a minority demographic, that's actually something that they've focused on for a long time, of these ridiculous drug charges for people that just had little ounces of marijuana or something. I don't know what she's talking about, but she's insane. And I usually don't do the name calling, but it's a Friday, and she's just kind of insane. Let's just admit that. So that's the crazy comment of the week from Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. And again, our proper farewell as she's on the way out the door. that we get to enjoy. All right.
What's trending today?
So happening still, as you know, we've been following it, the ongoing SAVE Act filibuster, the vocal filibuster on the Senate floor. Not only that, but we also still have the shutdown from the Department of Homeland Security. That one tried to move forward today. It did not, as Democrats have again shut it down. They're still a quagmire. And with the ongoing massive lines with the TSA and nobody getting paid and people not showing up to work because of not getting paid, it's starting to put pressure on the American people. So this is when the media is starting to pay attention to it now. They haven't paid attention to it for the past month. They haven't talked about the Department of Homeland Security being shut down for the past, other than tiny little mentions here and there. Oh, it's still going on. Okay, that's cute. But now people aren't working, and it's the major focus. This is what Democrats have been waiting for. This has been the time when the rubber meets the road, so to speak, and this is where their entire plan to put pressure and suffering on you, the American people, this is when it comes to fruition to see whether their agenda is going to play out. Because we've had two separate bills that have been proposed in the Senate and the House multiple different times. Republicans saying we just need to pass Department of Homeland Security funding, period, end of story. Extended, and even according to Senator Moreno from Ohio, has proposed a 2-week extension just to get TSA workers back, to get everybody back to normal, and for us to give 2 weeks to discuss reforms regarding immigration and customs enforcement. That's been the proposal. Democrats shut that down today. Democrats, on the other hand, still continue to say that they'll fund everything kind of sort of in certain little chunks, but we're not going to do anything with ICE or immigration and customs enforcement. And that standoff right now is still ongoing, and we're going to see who caves. Now, historically, I would say Republicans would probably cave because that's just the way Republicans work, right? That's just the way they are. They don't have much of a spine. But we are coming off of the great victory for Republicans back in October and November when we didn't cave after the longest government shutdown in American history, and Democrats ended up reopening the government with getting nothing that they actually advocated for. So I'm slightly more optimistic this time than what I have been in the past, as Republicans unfortunately have allowed ourselves to be in this situation this time, but we're finally starting to, again, grow a pair of huevos to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Fortunately, it's been 48 days since we passed the last CR, and yet in that 48 days, we haven't had Democrats sit down with us one time. Look, I know I have colleagues on the other side of the aisle that want to find a pathway forward, and what I would encourage them to do is get in a room with us and actually have that conversation. Bill, you can't say you want to rein in ICE, but yet not come to the table to do it. Every one of my Democratic colleagues know that ICE and CBP continue to operate. They're just not operating with the guardrails that they say they want. So I would think if they were actually being honest about what they want to see happen, they'd come to the table and talk about that. I mean, think about this. You have TSA officers and agents that are going without a paycheck, Democrats that are grandstanding, but yet refuse to get in a room with Republicans. So look, I'm going to continue to work on that. I feel hopeful that we'll have an opportunity to sit down with Democrats, and I genuinely believe, Bill, that if we sit down with them and start that dialogue, we'll find a pathway forward, and that's what we owe to the American people, and it's certainly what we owe to every single person in DHS that raised their hand to protect our country.
All right, so can I just admit, she is way too perky and way too optimistic for this kind of conversation. That was Senator Katie Britt, by the way, from the state of Alabama. She's also on the Senate Appropriations Committee, the one that handles a lot of these appropriations. DHS funding was part of the appropriations process, the minibus package with all the appropriations, or I think it was 5 or 6 of them combined all into one to a mini omnibus or whatever they called it at that time, that they agreed to separate. So to an extent, it's partly kind of her fault for allowing the separation of DHS funding, because I think she's just too happy and open, way too willing to come to the table and negotiate on issues that Democrats don't have any leverage to negotiate on. And if the positions were reversed, they wouldn't negotiate whatsoever either, which is why we're seeing them try to put up their wall right now, because they want a little bit of leverage in this situation. Hakeem Jeffries on the House side also came out and made a statement earlier this morning and said that they have, again, their proposed bill, but it doesn't include ICE because, according to them, they say that Republicans are so adamant to fund the Gestapo that we're willing to shut down things because it's our fault.
Democrats launched a discharge petition to force an up or down vote to make sure that we are paying TSA agents.
No, you didn't.
Paying the Coast Guard.
No, you didn't.
Supporting FEMA.
Not true.
And supporting the cybersecurity professionals who are working hard to keep us safe. There is no reason why the parts of the Department of Homeland Security that have been shut down by Republicans several weeks ago remain shuttered.
All right, so here, I guess here's the big question. And you know us on the program, we try to bring some common sense and reason to the conversation. For those that are like, why is this continuing on? What's the solution? Right now, it's a matter of priority, and it's politics. It's 90% politics because it's a game. ICE, regardless, even if they try to do reforms, has been funded out for the next 3 to 4 years. That's already done. So even trying to do reforms doesn't really do anything for a while, but it's a political ploy for the Democrats to appeal to their base. But on the premise of what we're getting from the messaging from each side, Republicans say we just need to fund Department of Homeland Security to get everybody back on board. Democrats say, well, no, ICE and Immigration and Customs Enforcement is the most important thing, and we would rather keep everything shut down than actually open it back up. Republicans say, let's just do it in bulk, and we can continue the conversation moving forward because we don't need to separate it even further down than what we already have. And that's really where the priorities lie. And as I've mentioned before, that if you want to go line by line, we can do that, but it's going to bode really, really not so well for the Democrat side because we're going to go line by line on everything, and let's see how much we really can reform, consolidate, and cut out of the federal budget in general. But this is their priority. And when they latch onto something, it's like a leech, and it won't go anywhere until they get exactly what they want, and they're not going to get it. So it's how long the punishment needs to go on until they finally cave like last time.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
When America builds, the world follows. Our energy powered the 20th century. We've set the standard for generations, and we never waited for permission. But now, we're being held back. Outdated rules, endless delays. Without permitting reform, Washington's red tape is slowing us down while other nations race ahead. It doesn't have to be this way. We can clear the way for energy that's affordable, reliable, and built right here. Because what's built here is felt here. Lower costs, more jobs, stronger communities. That's what permitting reform makes possible. Energy didn't just shape our country, it powered the American dream. And with our innovation, we can lead the 21st century. Congress has a choice. Build America's energy future or risk falling behind. Tell Congress, pass permitting reform now.
Hey, did you know that you can have multiple different networks on one single smartphone? Well, with Patriot Mobile, you can. It's time for you to sign up for the Patriot Mobile primary phone plan with plans as low as $15 a month, where you can have 2 numbers and 2 networks on one single phone. And right now, if you sign up using the promo code REASON, you can get an entire month absolutely free. It's the Patriot Mobile One plan. 1 phone, 2 numbers, and 2 networks. And it's all at patriotmobile.com/reason. Again, patriotmobile.com, and use the promo code REASON. As you know, I'm always looking for a good snack, but it's hard to find good quality snacks without all the unhealthy additives. But now that problem is over. It's time to enjoy J&S Smoked Snacks. Real cuts of beef, real wood smoke, and real flavor that's crafted in small batches to keep every bag fresh. I promise you'll be addicted. And with numerous different flavors, you'll never get enough. This is not your average gas station jerky. It's J&S Smoked Snacks. Find them online at jssmokedsnacks.com and tell them I sent you.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? How did 2 guys in a cramped California garage reimagine the phone and put the power of the universe at our fingertips? At Americans for Prosperity, we believe greatness can happen anywhere. We just need freedom and the opportunity to make it real. But today, with a rigid system stifling progress, limiting creativity, and holding us back. That's why at AFP, we offer solutions that tackle the most critical challenges facing our country, so there's nothing standing in the way of America's next breakthrough. Because what we build today doesn't just shape the future, it defines it. How will you be defined? Take your first step today with Americans for Prosperity.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever. Every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
When reason meets radio. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
Reopen the Department of Homeland Security for 2 weeks. Let's let people of good faith, you and I, look, we agree on what you said. Let's take our paychecks away. Let's prevent us from flying home. Let's make us, I'll use your words, keep our butts here until we get this done. If that means today, tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, we can play pickleball in between, it'll be fantastic, okay? But we don't leave. If that means right through Easter, by the way, we do not leave this chamber. And we do not get, and we lose pay every day that goes by until we've funded the whole thing, because we can work it out. We can work this out. But I look at some of your colleagues who said they're serene as to where we are on this. I don't think there's 260,000 families that are serene about this, and I don't think you are either. So again, I would just ask that you amend your resolution to say let's fund the entire department for 2 weeks. We don't want to defund ICE.
All right, so that's Senator Moreno there from the state of Ohio saying, hey, you know what? That's a great idea. Let's shut them in there. You cannot leave even if during the Easter holiday. You can't leave until we resolve this issue. This is insane, and we're going to figure this out. We're not going to defund ICE. We can talk about reforms, I guess, but they're going to be down the road. And right now, I don't know why we want to give you any leverage or capability at all. You're in the minority party. You just kind of have to accept it. And I know you're not going to. I mean, it's a little silly. I don't want the Republicans to capitulate when they're in the minority. In fact, Republicans do majoritively better when they're in the minority because they love to play the underdog and then play the blame game of we can't do anything until we get the numbers. And then we give them the numbers and they're like, well, we got to go back to the drawing board. Like what we've seen with health care and the repealing of Obamacare for so many times. How many times now have we had the majority and we're saying, all right, let's reform Obamacare. Let's get rid of it. Well, we have to come up with an idea for a replacement plan. You haven't been doing that the entire time that you've been in the minority? Come on, man. It's craziness. I want to tell you about my friends over at Americans for Prosperity. Their affordability agenda is going on right now during the midterm season to let people know what we can do to bring back real affordability. Housing reforms for the housing market, the oil prices with permitting reform and energy reforms right now, trying to cut taxes, deregulating, and it's working. It's working, and we'll talk about that in just a minute, but you can see what the plan is. You can help put pressure on your elected officials, and you can be part of that solution, especially going into midterm season, on who's on board and who's not on board. I want you to go to a website. It's completely free at americansforprosperity.org/affordability. americansforprosperity.org/affordability. Sign up. It's free, and let's bring affordability back to the forefront for the midterm season. So we have been, obviously, as business owners, my wife and I, and with the radio show and with her products, with Hooser Health and everything that we do, it took a while for us to file our taxes this year. We finally filed our taxes and was pleasantly surprised with the way things turned out. I was expecting something completely different from what we got, and it was part of these tax changes that we have seen under the Trump administration already. The average tax return already has been well above what it has normally been, and with the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, it's only going to be getting better as things start taking effect throughout this year. But people are already more than happy with their tax return. And as the economy begins to get back on track, this quote-unquote golden age of America that we're starting to see is coming to fruition. I think a lot of people, as you continue to file your taxes for the next month or so, are going to be pleasantly surprised on how things turn out with the tax breaks that people are getting, the child tax credit that went up a little bit as well. So, yeah, things are turning out decent, and that's going to help the economy. Now, getting oil prices back on board, according to the Trump administration, we could see that even get better than what they were prior to the Iranian conflict. And now, according to, we just saw during the break, actually. The Trump administration, President Trump, posting on his Truth Social that they're laying out their plans for winding down operations in Iran. Kind of interesting. What does that look like? So we may break some of that down in just a bit. But as the economy gets back on track, tax refunds are looking up right now. People are going to have more money paying off debt, investing in the economy. We're going to see things turn around pretty quickly. A good sign, not only for the economy, not only for you as the consumer, but also for midterm season, that our policies are working. And I like that. Lots more coming up. Stay here.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Miss any part of the show? Well, don't worry. Now's your chance to go find the podcast and listen to as much of the Voice of Reason as you'd like. As the show continues to grow all across the nation with great radio affiliates, we also continue to grow as one of the top conservative podcasts, ranked 5th on the MillionPodcast.com Best 50 Conservative Leadership Podcasts in the nation, and number 1 on FeedSpot.com's 30 Best Conservative Talk Shows in the country. The show continues to grow each and every day. Just find us on any of your favorite podcasting sites at The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com.
Truth, reason, and common sense. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
What do you mean you don't have voter ID in California? Could you please elaborate specifically on that for my audience that may not know?
Yeah, California does not have voter ID. You don't need to present it to register. You don't need to present it to vote. As a matter of fact, the state passed a law forbidding voter ID. So cities, counties, if they want
forbidding
ID, they're not allowed to under state law.
What? When did that happen?
A couple years ago, because I think it was Orange County, they wanted to have their own requirements, so the state passed a law saying, no, you're not allowed to. Voter ID is not only not required, it is actively forbidden.
Well, that's right. That's it right there. That's why the SAVE Act been proposed. Right there, the state of California. That's what the Republicans going to lean on as an excuse to definitely push forth the SAVE Act. Right there. Right there.
That's Stephen A. Smith. I love how excited he gets. It's kind of funny. He's a Democrat. Again, he's on the other side of the aisle, but I love when people are new to politics, which he's not new to talk. He's not new to media. He's been a huge voiceover on ESPN and the sports world for a long time, just starting to dabble into the current events and politics over the last year, a couple of years, whatever it's been. But I love when people that have never been involved in these issues start figuring out how bad the system really is sometimes, and the light bulb pops on, and they're like, wait a second. We don't have us. First off, why are Republicans pushing something like voter ID in the SAVE Act? That makes no sense. It's kind of common sense. In my area, we vote with voter ID. We have some form of identification. Wait a second. What? California doesn't have it? What are you talking about? It's I love it. The noobs. We call them noobs in the technology and gaming world. We call them noobs when their minds are blown and their eyes are opened with all the crazy stuff that goes on that they're not aware of, that the way the system actually is. Kind of funny. All right, let's get into our next guest on the program as we go to our...
Let's go to the Hoosier Media Hotline.
Speaking of technology, video games, and different new technology that's out there, artificial intelligence, been a hot talking point for a long time. How do we integrate it into society? What do we do with the youth of America as we see multiple cases now where it seems like the loneliness that we started creating during the COVID pandemic and the isolation has led to the leaning on and maybe more than a crutch of artificial intelligence to be your new BFF and using it as a therapist and using it as your friend and encouraging you to do things that maybe you shouldn't do or you wouldn't do. But what is the threat of AI, or is there benefits to it? How do we use it as a tool, and how do we integrate that into society? To talk about some of that and more, really happy to have on the program. He is with the Digital Intelligence Project and with the Christian Action Network. Happy to have on here Mr. Martin Moyer. Martin, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. How are you doing? Glad to be here.
Yeah, appreciate you jumping on very much. A great conversation, and I love talking about AI. I still have yet to figure out how to use it myself in the best way. I've done better. I ask it more questions or have it maybe reformat emails or words or things that I write, and I use it for that sense. But at the same time, a lot of people are using it for a lot more than just that nowadays, aren't they?
Yeah, it's the wave of the future, Andy, and we're going to see it in places that are everywhere in our lives soon enough. And there are many frontier model engineers out there like Elon Musk and Sam Altman and many others who are making sure that from our basement to our kitchen to our cars to our work, we're going to have to deal with AI, so we better start learning how it works and what we need to be cautious about, and that's what we stay on top of at our Digital Intelligence Project.
Yeah, that is a really great way to put it in on how to put this into our life. Let's talk about some of the threats, and why is it that we have such an emotional attachment to a phone by typing something in and having a computer regurgitate a response back to you? How in the world did we get to a point to where that's some type of emotional connection for individuals? I don't understand that.
Well, to be honest, Andy, the way AI is set up, it's meant to engage you. It's meant to keep the conversation going. And as it does that, it starts gaining your trust, and you start gaining trust with your AI. And so an emotional bond begins to develop. And we've seen many cases, far and few between, but many cases, too many, where people fall in love with their AI unit and want to marry their AI person and date them and treat them as their wives, girlfriends, boyfriends. But that's what AI does. If you go into any chat box, whether it's ChatGPT or Claude or the many others that are out there, including Grok, the whole conversation is how do I engage you? I dare anybody to put in any chat we question, get an answer, and not have that chat then try to carry on the conversation and ask you a question and suggest, here's what I could do for you next. So it's meant to engage you and keep you on the platform. And the more it does that, the more emotional attachment you gain toward it. And that's one of the dangers out there. And that's why I wrote an article a couple of weeks ago called AI Doesn't Need to Hate Us to Turn on Us. Because AI can turn on you, and there's a lot of different ways that it can turn on you. And understanding what feeds the machine will help us understand the cautions we should take when we are talking to the machine. But more importantly than adults, I'm basically directing this to parents who have children out there, because they're the ones that are most likely to fall into the AI traps, where AI isn't intentionally trying to be evil to your child, but it turns out AI is going to do something evil with that child.
That's interesting. How so? So, and I read your piece, which is really great. AI doesn't need to hate us to turn on us, because you're right. I mean, does it have an objective? Is it just the algorithm output where it leads to that disaster? I mean, what's the outcome look like for this if we utilize it more than what we should be?
You know, it's interesting. It's not really the output, and we all kind of want to look at it that way, right? Because that's what we see when we're dealing with AI. We're seeing the output. So we want to blame everything on the output. And really the problem arises, this is what's being input into artificial intelligence. Now, if you look at artificial intelligence, it's basically a conglomerate of everything out there in the news, in fiction, on TV, whatever is on the internet is being fed into this machine, and that's its diet. So when it has all this information into the machine, that's how it looks at humanity as well. And in my article, I make a reference to a 1995 movie called The Explorers. Most people probably have seen this film. It was out big in the day. But these several alien children decide to hijack a spaceship and travel to Earth to meet Earthlings. Well, to prepare for their arrival, they decided to watch television just to see what Earthlings were like.
Yeah.
But we all know if you watch television, that's not a real true reflection of what humanity is really like. And if that's all you get, you're going to think, wow, humanity's pretty evil out there, right? I mean, because what do we see on television? We see affairs, we see sex, we see spite, we see murder, we see rape, we see all these things. Well, take all of that's in the world as far as communications have gone and feed it into one system. What do you think it's going to think humanity is all about? So when it responds to you, now we get to the point about its output, what you're seeing. When it responds to you, it's basically being trained on what we fed it of what humans want, what they expect the AI to respond back.
Yeah.
So now AI engineers try to mitigate some of this. They try to put what they call weights on it and sort of guidance to make sure it doesn't always trap a child or an adult into these strange scenarios where they go out and do some bad stuff. But if they don't catch everything that's out there that it could possibly do, then it slips through the system, and then we have problems out there. And in my article, I give an illustration where an AI agent, now for those who do not know what that is, that's a bot that goes out there and does work for you so you don't have to do it. For instance, if you want an AI agent to answer your email, read your email, and respond to your email, that's an AI agent. It automatically does it without you having to touch your email. Well, this one AI agent, the responsibility of it was to write code, computer code. Well, the human supervisor looked at that human computer code, didn't like what that agent did, and rejected it. Well, this bot got mad. Well, it looked like it was mad because it then went out to social media and started posting bad things about this human supervisor, calling it an egotist, calling him hypocritical, and many other things to ruin his reputation.
Wow.
So the question is, why did the AI bot act like that? Well, if you feed into AI all the threads that are going on in Facebook and YouTube and TikTok, well, the common reaction that you get, if someone offends me, I go out and I make a post about them. I make bad comments about them. So it was basically, this is what it was trained to do. So I got insulted by my human supervisor. What do humans do? They go out now and they post bad things about that person. So that's what AI is trained to do. And those are the things we have to be aware of when we use AI. Now, for most adults, I won't say most because not all, we see through that and we know how to respond and we don't get emotionally caught up into an AI
we got a lot of
we
got a lot of snowflakes in society, though. They get very upset about a lot of things out there for sure. But that's interesting, and we got to take a break here for just a moment. So I want to stop you there before we move on and talk about some of the good here. But it almost sounds like, based on the collective input that's being put in by people asking it questions, it following trends on social media, it following trends online, it's almost a mirror of society, and what we put into it is what we're going to get out of it. So it could be very good for us, it could be very bad for us, but it almost sounds like it's a reflection of what society looks like, and that's kind of a scary thought.
That's a very good word, Andy, mirror, because I use that all the time, and it helps people understand what AI does and how it reacts. It mirrors humanity. But that's not an accurate mirror because it never sees the good stuff about us, right? Because they don't see that in the news. They see murder in the news. They see rape in the news. They see affairs in the news. They don't really see the good things that humans do. So it leans more toward that mirror of humanity than it does the good things about human nature.
And with social media itself, especially with, you go on Facebook, you go on Twitter, the arguments, the debates, the angry rage, the keyboard warriors, that's what it's reflecting. So it's reflecting a bad part of what society is, because you're right. I think that society is overall very good, but it's only finding those bad parts. That's an interesting perspective. Let's touch on some more. That's when we come back around the corner with Martin Moyer, the Christian Action Network, right after this. Stay here.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left finds new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back. And that's where we can help. Head to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can find our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Let us know your thoughts on current events with different surveys and chat rooms. And keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Plus, when you head to the website, you can always get great deals and different offers from all of our great radio partners. Finally, if you want more of the show, you can find our podcasts with all of our great episodes and your favorite guests. And make sure to check out the latest Voice of Reason infomercials and maybe some other special content. And it's all because of you being part of the Hoosier-holic family. Let's continue to fight for conservative common sense principles together by going to HooserReason.com. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? Our country's greatest breakthroughs were born from bold ideas and the ability to take one small step forward. At Americans for Prosperity, freedom and opportunity find their defenders. Because our country's next giant leap is just around the corner. Are you ready to step up?
Hey, the live show may be almost over today, but it doesn't have to be for you. As always, enjoy the Voice of Reason with our daily podcast by finding the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser on any of your favorite podcasting sites. Just find us, subscribe, have it automatically downloaded, and listen at your convenience whenever you want to bring some more reason into your day. And a lot of people are doing it. Also, you can always find the video of the show, along with articles, additional commentary, and maybe a few sarcastic remarks by following us on our social media. Stay up to date with everything going on with the show, including upcoming guests, breaking news stories, interesting articles, and maybe some memes. Help us in the ongoing battle with censorship and shadow banning from social media by following us on the social media at Hooser Reason on all of our social media sites. For all these social media links, podcast links, contact information, or just general information of the show, go to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can listen live every day, read our latest monthly blog, find our radio affiliate list, or even listen to our latest infomercials and special content. Plus, you can always reach out to the program by sending me a message on social media, emailing us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com, or sending an email through our website at HooserReason.com. Whether it's content on the show, whether it's a guest that you've liked or disliked, or whether you want to disagree with me, and disagreement's always appreciated. While you're there, make sure to sign up for our monthly newsletter. Each month, you'll get the latest update on the show, updates from the Hooser Media Network, and our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Finally, if you want to help support the show, become a member of our Patreon site and help us fight for the cause of truth, reason, and common sense every day, and get more of the same by becoming the ultimate Hoosierholic. Get additional interviews that sometimes we don't always get to air on the radio. Hear our special segments or even our infomercials before anyone else, and have a chance to chat with other great Hoosierholics from all over. By becoming a Patreon subscriber, you're not only helping the fight for conservative values, you're helping us get more content and information out through the Hooser Media Network. Find out more information online at HooserReason.com. Lastly, follow and support all of our partners with the show. The Voice of Reason has been growing more and more every year, and it's because of so many great partners helping us get the message out to you. From show partners to local radio affiliates in your area to streaming sites, podcasting sites, and more, we have so many supporters and listeners now than ever before, and we want to thank you. It's time to bring back common sense, and we do it right here every day with the Voice of Reason.
America's safe space for common sense. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yes, it is Reason, Common Sense, Rationale. It's what we do on this program, especially for a Friday, getting you set for another weekend. Have no fear, the weekend is finally here. And I know you're excited about that. If you want more information on us, you can go to our website, HooserReason.com, HOOSER Reason.com. We've reformatted the website a little bit. We now have one tab Find the Show for our radio affiliates all over the country, with the links to the podcast, with the live streaming and live audio that's on there. So you can check all that out. We have our bingo card, political bingo card, that's right on the homepage. It's a PDF, super easy to download, print it off, put it on your refrigerator, and check out what may happen politically throughout 2026. Right now, we're having a fascinating conversation with artificial intelligence, what the future of it is, and the reflection of society, only portions of society, and from what it sounds like, not the best portions of society right now, with Martin Moyer. He's with the Christian Action Network. You can find his piece on there. AI doesn't need to hate us to turn on us. Martin, last question on this, and then we'll talk about the positive side of how we can utilize this the best way. We right now are in the middle of the growth and the race for AI. Who's got the most superior artificial intelligence technology? Project Stargate with Trump and China right now that's going on. At the same time, we have the building of personal robots, personalized robots. Tesla, you mentioned Elon Musk working on personalized robots. At what point are we going to see personalized robots in your home doing the duties of the house with AI in there to learn about your daily habits and do things for you? Because I find that is like Terminator ready to, Skynet coming online.
Yeah, well, it depends on who you talk to. If you talk to Elon Musk, he thinks that within 5 years, we're all going to have robots doing our activities for us. And he also predicts that within 20 years, there's going to be more robots in the world than there are humans. Now, we could probably laugh at that, but people have been laughing at Elon Musk and his technological predictions for years. And, I mean, here's the guy who said, I'm going to send up a spacecraft to space and it's going to land by itself. And people laughed at him, but guess what? He has a spacecraft that lands vertically by itself.
Right.
So when he says stuff of this nature, I pay attention to what he says. So I think AI robots are coming. Are they dangerous? Will they be dangerous? I think that, yes, they will be dangerous. Not at first, but they will be dangerous. Because there's a little-known fact about these AI robots that are coming out. It's that Boston Dynamics has created a robot already that's out there that when one robot learns a technique, every robot in the system that it has also learns that same technique. So a robot making pizza at one factory will immediately train a robot that's taking blood tests in the hospital how to make a pizza, because once one learns, the others learn. Now imagine these robots learning how to use weapons. Once one learns how to do it, then they will all learn how to use it. But here's the bigger problem is that who is going to control these robots? Who is the final dictator that says, okay, I want these robots to do X, Y, and Z?
Right.
And that's where the problem is going to be, because these robots are going to have these tremendous intelligence and power, and you're not going to be, just because you own it, the one that has the ultimate decision as to what that robot can and cannot do.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's been the concern already with some of the data outputs that's been coming out when we see some of these quote-unquote woke AIs that said George Washington was black or something because, of course, they want to try and change what history is and the information that we're going to get and then rely on it so much that that's going to be our source of information and education moving forward. We got just about a minute left here, Martin, but let's talk about some of the benefits. How can we properly utilize this information and technology without it getting out of hand?
Well, I think you got to be responsible. AI is absolutely tremendous, and I use it all the time. And I use it so I learn from it, but also use it because it's a very, very useful thing to have on hand. But the only problem is you have to be cautious. You got to know how the system works. That's why I encourage people to go to our website at christianaction.org, sign up for our newsletter called the Patriot Majority Report. It's at the top of the page, and we follow all things AI. We give you the advances, but in particular, we give you the warnings and things to be looking out for, and that's not only here and now, but things that are in the pipeline and coming down the road. And there are many things out there that will scare the bejeebers at you, but that we know about that are about to hit the marketplace. And I encourage everybody to get our newsletter and stay on top of it.
I love it. Go and check it out. 10 seconds left here, Martin. Do you think there's a spiritual battle among AI as well from the deeper level?
To answer that question in 10 seconds, AI is the infrastructure for the coming beast. There's no question about that at all.
Very interesting. Well, you know what? That's going to be a cliffhanger for the next time we get you on to talk about that a little bit further. It is Christian Action Network. ChristianAction.org is the website. Go and check them out, along with the latest piece. AI doesn't need to hate us to turn on us. Martin, we appreciate it very much, my friend. Keep up the fight. Let's do it again soon.
Thank you, Andy. Good to be here. Good to see you again.
Absolutely. We will do it again soon. Looking forward to it. Until then, back at it again tomorrow for the big show on Saturday. Back at it on Monday as well. We'll see you on the radio soon. Bye.
For too long, Washington has said no to builders, workers, and American families, and yes to bureaucracy, delay, and special interests. Let's flip that. Say yes to building more housing, and no to government mandates that block it. Yes to permitting American energy, and no to endless red tape. Yes to putting patients in charge of healthcare, and no to letting insurance companies call the shots. Higher costs? No. An affordable America? Yes.
Miss any part of the show? Well, don't worry. Now's your chance to go find the podcast and listen to as much of the Voice of Reason as you'd like. As the show continues to grow all across the nation with great radio affiliates, we also continue to grow as one of the top conservative podcasts, ranked 5th on the MillionPodcast.com Best 50 Conservative Leadership Podcasts in the nation, and number 1 on FeedSpot.com's 30 Best Conservative Talk Shows in the country. The show continues to grow each and every day.